The first breath of courage, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you somewhere for a moment. Not to a faraway land, not to a dream tucked under your pillow, but to a simple moment. A moment that every human being has felt deep in their bones. It's that moment right before you make a decision that could change your life. The moment your heart beats louder than your doubts. The moment your soul whispers, this could be the beginning. But your fear answers back, what if it isn't? Tonight, I want to take you by the hand and lead you into that sacred place, the place where beginnings are born. Because the greatest tragedy is not that people fail. No, life gives us permission to fail. The tragedy is that too many never begin. Many dreams die not because they were impossible, but because someone was waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect confidence, the perfect guarantee. Let me tell you a story. A young man once visited me after a seminar. He had tears in his eyes, not because he was broken, but because he was terrified of starting. He said, "Ko, what if I'm not ready?" I smiled and told him, "Son, courage doesn't show up at the finish line. Courage shows up at the starting line. It shows up when you're trembling, not when you're triumphant." The courage to begin has built empires, reshaped destinies, restored broken families, healed the scarred heart, and awakened sleeping potential. But it all starts with the willingness to move. Before you feel certain, before you feel strong, before you understand how the entire road will look. Tonight, I want to guide you through 7 chapters, 7 inner shifts that form the backbone of beginning. Not steps, not tips, but deep human truths that expand within you, lift you and move you. Each one an invitation to think differently, walk differently, and choose differently. So take a deep breath. Let's begin this journey, your journey, into the courage to begin. The courage to face yourself. The courage to face yourself is the beginning of every beginning, the birthplace of every transformation, and the quiet threshold that stands between the life you have lived and the life you know. Deep in your spirit, you are capable of living. When a person finally turns inward and looks at themselves, not through the blurry lens of excuses, not through the shield of pride, not through the comforting fog of denial, but through the raw, clean glass of truth, something powerful begins to happen. It is a confrontation so intimate, so revealing, that many spend their whole lives avoiding it. But those who dare to take this inward step discover that the first and most profound form of courage is not the courage to fight the world. It is the courage to face the self. Every dream you have ever carried, every possibility that has ever whispered your name, begins here, with honesty. Honest about the habits that have shaped your life. Honest about the fears that have ruled you. Honest about the patterns you've repeated for years, hoping they'd somehow lead to different results. Honest about the life you say you want, and the actions that have not yet aligned with that desire. You see, the truth is not a punishment, the truth is a compass. And until you face it, you cannot begin. There comes a moment in every person's story when they stand at a crossroads between the person they have been and the person they long to become. This moment is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet, subtle, and deeply personal. It looks like lying awake at night, feeling the weight of unfulfilled potential. It feels like the tiredness that comes not from physical exhaustion, but from carrying the burden of knowing you are living beneath your potential. It sounds like a whisper from the inside saying, there is more in you. There has always been more in you. To face yourself is to stop running from that whisper. It is to turn toward it with humility and accept that the next chapter of your life will require a new version of you. The courage to face yourself is the courage to examine the shadows you avoid. It means acknowledging the fear of failure that has been hiding behind your hesitation. It means admitting the fear of judgment that has kept your voice quiet. It means recognizing the fear of change that has convinced you to cling to familiarity, even when that familiarity has been suffocating your dreams. Most people don't begin because they believe their fears must disappear first. But fear isn't meant to vanish before you act. Fear is meant to be understood so you can act anyway. The moment you face yourself, you begin to reclaim your freedom. You stop blaming circumstances, people, luck, timing, or limitations. You begin to see that your life has been shaped less by the opportunities you had and more by the choices you made. And rather than feeling overwhelmed by that idea, you become empowered by it. Because if your past was shaped by choices, it means your future can be shaped by new choices. You can begin again, not from the outside but from the inside. And yet, facing yourself is not only about acknowledging weaknesses, it is just as much about acknowledging strength. It is about recognizing the resilience that carried you through storms you didn't think you would survive. It is about embracing the creativity, the intelligence, the heart, the vision, and the potential that you've buried under layers of doubt, comparison, and insecurity. When you face yourself honestly, you don't just meet your flaws, you meet your power. And that power has been waiting for permission to rise. There is something liberating that happens when you stand in your truth. You become lighter, clearer, and more focused. You stop living from reaction and start living with intention. You stop asking life to change while remaining unchanged yourself. You stop waiting for motivation and begin acting from conviction. The courage to face yourself doesn't make the journey easy, but it makes the journey possible. And this is why, before any dream can begin to take shape, before any goal can be pursued with passion, before any transformation can take root, you must face the person in the mirror and say, I am ready to stop hiding. I am ready to stop pretending. I am ready to see myself fully, so I can finally become who I was meant to be. Because the person you must confront before you begin is the same person you must lead as you rise. And once you have faced yourself with courage, there is no force in this world that can stop the beginnings you are destined to create. The courage to want more, is one of the most misunderstood forces in the human heart. People often hear the word, more, and immediately think of greed or dissatisfaction, as if wanting a richer, fuller life somehow means you are ungrateful for what you already have. But that is not true. Wanting more is not a rejection of your present, it is an honoring of your potential. It is the recognition that you were not born to simply maintain, repeat, or survive. You were born to expand, evolve, and rise. Every step forward humanity has ever taken began with someone who wanted more for themselves, their family, their community, or the world. A deeper purpose, a broader vision, a higher standard. Yet many people suppress this desire because they fear that wanting more makes them look selfish, unappreciative, or unrealistic. But it takes immense courage to admit, even to yourself, that you dream of a life bigger than the one you are currently living. The courage to want more is the courage to listen to the quiet voice inside you that says, there is something greater waiting for you. That voice is not arrogance. That voice is your soul reminding you of who you are capable of becoming. It is an inner truth calling you toward unexplored potential. But the world teaches us early on to silence that voice. Don't dream too big. They say, be realistic. Stay in your lane. Don't expect too much. But here's the truth. The limitations others place on you are reflections of their own fears, not your potential. And if you live your life according to their limitations, you shrink into a version of yourself that is too small for the destiny waiting for you. There is a moment in a person's life when their desire for growth becomes stronger than their fear of judgment. That moment is the spark of change. It often comes quietly, sometimes after failure, sometimes after success, sometimes after heartbreak, sometimes after a long season of feeling stuck. But when it arrives, it feels like a rising in your chest, a sense that the life you've been settling for is no longer enough. Not because you are greedy, but because your heart knows you are capable of more depth, more purpose, more impact, more joy, more life. Wanting more means giving yourself permission to break free from the stories that have been handed down to you. Perhaps you were raised in an environment where dreams were dismissed, where resources were scarce, where opportunities felt out of reach. Maybe you were taught to play small, be careful, be modest, be quiet. But wanting more is the act of rewriting your script. It is the declaration that your origin does not determine your destination. It is the recognition that your future is not bound by the expectations others placed upon you. The courage to want more is the courage to believe that you are allowed to desire a life that excites you, challenges you, grows you, and elevates you. And this desire becomes a powerful force. When you truly allow yourself to want more, something shifts. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw barriers. You begin to feel energy where you once felt exhaustion. You begin to attract new conversations, new ideas, new opportunities. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you changed. Wanting more awakens a different part of you. The visionary part, the motivated part, the disciplined part. The part that sees who you could become and is no longer willing to settle for less. This courage also asks you to confront the guilt or fear that may arise when you dare to elevate your life. Some people feel guilty for wanting more than their family ever had. Others fear outgrowing the people around them. Others worry that pursuing a bigger life might distance them from those they love. But the truth is this: you do not serve anyone by shrinking. You do not help others by suppressing your potential. When you grow, you lift others. When you expand, you inspire those around you. When you succeed, you open doors behind you for others to walk through. The courage to want more is the courage to believe that your life has a purpose that deserves to be fulfilled, that your gifts are meant to be used, that your potential is meant to be activated, that your dreams are meant to be lived. It is the courage to say, "Was not born to repeat yesterday. I was born to expand into tomorrow." And when you allow yourself to want more, not from greed, but from growth, you unlock a powerful truth. Life rises to meet you at the level of your expectations. And so, this courage does not merely ask, "What do you want?" It asks, "What are you finally willing to believe you deserve?" Because the moment you allow yourself to want more, your journey toward becoming more truly begins. The courage to let go is one of the greatest emotional battles a human being will ever face. It is not loud, not flashy, not celebrated the way beginnings and victories are, but it is the quiet, inner breaking that makes true beginnings possible. Letting go is not a single action, it is an internal shift. A decision that the weight you've carried for years can no longer come with you into the life you want to build. It is the moment when you stop negotiating with your past and finally look it in the eye and say, "You cannot hold me anymore." Because no matter how big your dreams are, no matter how powerful your intentions are, you cannot step into your future while your hands are still clutching the threads of your old story. Letting go is uncomfortable because the past, even when painful, is familiar. People cling to old habits because they know how those habits feel. They stay in limiting narratives because those narratives have shaped their identity for years. They hold on to relationships that drain them because they fear loneliness more than they value peace. They cling to excuses because excuses offer protection from accountability. And they hold on to their fears because those fears have become emotional companions. They know their weight, their shape, their predictability. Letting go isn't just about releasing something external. It's about releasing a version of yourself that has felt like home. Even if that home kept you small, there comes a moment when life whispers that it is time to rise. But rising requires the shedding of what once defined you. You must let go of the excuses that have justified your stagnation. You must let go of the belief that you are unworthy or incapable. You must let go of anger that has burned you from the inside, resentment that has chained you to old wounds, and fear that has dictated your decisions for far too long. You must let go of the comparisons that have stolen your confidence, and the expectations that were never yours to carry. Letting go means accepting that the past cannot be rewritten, but the future can be redesigned. And the courage to let go means choosing the redesign. One of the hardest truths in life is that not everything and everyone is meant to stay with you as you grow. You may outgrow certain relationships, certain environments, certain mindsets, certain routines. You may discover that the people who once inspired you now discourage you, that the habits that once helped you now hinder you, that the goals you once chased no longer reflect who you are becoming. Growth requires space, and space requires release. It is impossible to plant new seeds in soil cluttered with old roots. Letting go is the clearing of that soil. It is the making room for the new version of you to take root. And yet, letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean erasing memories or pretending things never happened. Letting go means removing the emotional hold those memories have on your present decisions. It means you can remember without reliving, reflect without sinking, and acknowledge without being defined. It means you honor the lessons without carrying the wounds. It means you walk forward with the wisdom of the past, but without the weight of it. Many people fear letting go because they fear losing themselves. But the truth is that letting go is not losing yourself. It is rediscovering yourself. It is peeling away the layers of fear, conditioning, disappointment, and doubt until you find the version of yourself that existed before the world told you who you should be. It is returning to your own voice, your own vision, your own truth. And when you let go of what no longer serves you, you do not become less. You become more free, more aware, more connected to your purpose, more aligned with your path. Letting go requires trust. Trust that what lies ahead is greater than what lies behind. Trust that the unknown is not a threat but an invitation. Trust that you are strong enough to release what has already run its course. Trust that life will not leave you empty-handed when you release what was never meant to be permanent. And trust that the space you create by letting go will soon be filled with something better, something truer, something that reflects the person you are becoming rather than the person you used to be. This courage is not found in moments of strength, but in moments of vulnerability. The quiet moments when you are fully aware of how tightly you've been holding on, and you decide to loosen your grip anyway. It is choosing growth over comfort, possibility over familiarity, and freedom over fear. Letting go is an act of faith, an act of maturity, and an act of profound self-love. And when you finally let go, when you truly, fully release what has been weighing down your spirit, you feel something extraordinary: lightness, clarity, space, the ability to breathe again. And in that breath, you find the beginning of your next chapter, a chapter written not by your past, but by your courage. The courage to step into the unknown. The courage to step into the unknown is the turning point of every meaningful journey. The moment when the map ends and the heart must begin. It is where certainty fades and possibility awakens. It is where comfort loosens its grip and destiny starts to whisper. Most people fear the unknown not because it is dangerous, but because it is uncharted. The human mind loves familiarity, patterns, routines, predictability. But the soul longs for expansion. It longs for evolution, for discovery, for purpose. And stepping into the unknown is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. There comes a moment in life when standing still becomes more painful than moving forward. You feel a stirring inside you, an ache, a restlessness, a quiet dissatisfaction that no amount of comfort can silence. You begin to sense that the life you're living is too small for the person you're becoming. And this feeling is not a sign of impatience. It is a sign of awakening. It is the universe nudging you toward a bigger stage, a deeper calling, a higher version of yourself. But stepping into the unknown requires the bravery to walk into a darkness you have never navigated, trusting that the light will meet you step by step. People often wait for confidence before they move, but confidence is born from movement. They wait for guarantees before they act, but guarantees are the luxury of those who never grow. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect clarity. But perfection is the enemy of progress. The unknown will never feel safe, but it will always be honest. It will reveal who you are, what you believe, and how deeply you trust yourself. And the truth is this: the unknown is not your enemy, it is your evolution. Stepping into the unknown is less about knowing the path and more about knowing your purpose. It is trusting that every step you take, no matter how small, no matter how shaky, will lead you somewhere meaningful. It is believing that you are capable of navigating challenges as they arise. It is understanding that growth happens not in the predictable, but in the unpredictable. Not in the expected, but in the unexpected. Not in the familiar, but in the unfamiliar. Every story of transformation, from entrepreneurs to artists, from leaders to dreamers, from warriors to world changers, began in the unknown. Every great chapter of human progress was written by someone who stepped onto a road they could not fully see. The unknown tests you, stretches you, reveals you, builds you. It breaks the shell of who you used to be, so that the wings of who you are meant to be can unfold. And yes, the unknown is frightening. It always is. You may feel doubt. You may feel unprepared. You may hear the voice of fear telling you that you're not ready, not capable, not strong enough. But fear is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning. Fear is simply the alarm that goes off when you are on the edge of growth. It is the emotional sign that something important is about to happen. If your dreams don't scare you, it means they're not big enough. And if the unknown doesn't intimidate you, it means you've stopped dreaming altogether. There is a special kind of courage required to take the first step when you cannot see the second. To leap when you cannot see where you will land. To trust the process when the outcome is still invisible. The unknown forces you to rely not on external assurances, but on inner conviction. It forces you to build faith. Faith in your abilities, faith in your resilience, faith in your instincts, faith in your purpose, faith in the unfolding of your life. And faith is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Stepping into the unknown also requires letting go of control. And control is hard to release because it gives the illusion of safety. But real safety is not found in staying where you are. It is found in growing into who you can be. The unknown may not offer certainty, but it offers possibility, something far more powerful. Possibility is the seed of greatness. Possibility is the birthplace of miracles. Possibility is the soil where potential becomes reality. The unknown is where you discover new strength, new ideas, new connections, new opportunities. It is where you meet parts of yourself that you never knew existed. It is where you learn to trust the unfolding of your journey. And the most beautiful truth is this: once you take the first step into the unknown, the path begins to reveal itself. Not all at once, but in the exact measure you are ready to handle. And so, stepping into the unknown becomes an act of self-belief, an act of courage, an act of surrender, and an act of creation. Because the unknown is not a void, it is a canvas, and your courage is the paint. The moment you step forward, you begin to shape a future that once existed only in your imagination. And once you step into the unknown with courage, you never return the same. You return stronger, you return more alive, you return transformed.